Welcome everyone, and welcome to the podcast where I interview army commanders, professors, and politicians regarding the Israeli and Arab conflict. Nice to meet you all. If you haven't seen the last episode, my name is Asaf, and today I have a very impressive military strategy and geopolitical expert, Dr. Pinko. Dr. Pinko served in the Israeli Defense Organization for 28 years, reaching to lieutenant colonel degree, in the top intelligence units in the army. During his service, he received a lot of awards: Chief of Staff Excellence Award, the Prime Minister Ministry Award, the Israeli Security Award, and Creative Thinking Awards. I'd love to share about it as well. Afterwards, he served as a CO in intelligence departments and companies. He graduated with 5 degrees with honors. His PhD is on military strategy. So thanks for being here.
Thank you
very impressive resume. Today we're going to deal with the same question that we dealt with in the last episode. Why did Hamas attack and launch this surprise attack? As I said, Dr. Pinko is here to elaborate about the strategic and the geopolitical side of things. Hello, nice to meet you. Thanks for being here. What do you think about the attack?
Yeah. We call this phenomenon Black Swan of what happened. Black Swan is a gathering of many reasons that are being timed into one specific time, and that in which we are surprised. Yes, and surprised in a way that is what we call in intelligence basic surprise. It's a surprise that you don't even think about those kind of surprises, or what we call also the blind spot. So it's what you don't know that you don't know. So this is what happened. Why it's happened? I think you can put it in on several dimensions as well. First, it's the symbolic part. The symbolic part is that October 6th, the day before, it was 50 years to the Yom Kippur War, to the 1973 war. A very important symbolic from the Israeli part. At the same day, it was the celebrations of 18 years of getting out from the Gaza Strip. So from the Palestinian side, it's very important part. Once again, to revive one generation after, to revive the heroic, as they see it, acts of the 1973 and the Israeli defeat going out from the Gaza Strip.
The audience maybe don't know about the Yom Kippur War and the other event in Gaza, so you can maybe elaborate about the surprise attack.
Yeah, so 1973, it's the attack that 5 nations in 1973 that attacked Israel. It was during the Yom Kippur, the holiest day in Judaism. From Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, Jordan, Egypt, coordinated attack that Israel suffered more than 3,000 casualties back then.
So it happened exactly 50 years ago, and 18 years ago it was the Israeli left Gaza.
Yes, Israel left Gaza after the Oslo agreement, giving the territory fully to the control of the Palestinian Authority back then, the PLO. And after that, with some kind of democratic process, it went back to the Hamas. So this is the symbolic part of the October 7, and for the Palestinians, for the Hamas, it's very important part. The second part is that we'll say let's call it the political issue, which is Iran. Iran is the landlord of Hamas, with a very strategic point of view of what we call the octopus strategy, which means that Iran does not fight directly, but Iran only fight using proxies. Iran, in order to fight, they are using Hezbollah, the militia Shia, the militias. So it's very complicated geo situation, which once we started with that, we must understand that the war with Hamas, it's not a domestic Israeli-Hamas issue.
Of course,
it's the picture. It's much bigger than that. We are just the player on the chess board. That's all. For unfortunately saying that.
Actually, last week, before moving to Israel, it is another interesting topic, but last week, Dr. Kedar was here, and he was speaking about the surprise attack of Hamas, and he was saying that the Hamas surprised the Iranians as well. Do you agree? And maybe the Russians, if I imagine. Do you agree with this statement?
I cannot believe it. I cannot
think
believe
the Iranians knew about it?
We can speak for another hour about the intelligence failure of October 7, which we see now in the last few days or 2 weeks or so, that more and more evidence came that there was information about the attack, about Hamas doctrine, about Hamas training, about the fact that Hamas operatives went to Hezbollah and to Iran to train themselves, about moving the weapons from North Korea, China, and Iran into the Gaza Strip. There were coordinating meetings in Beirut, in Iran. So the information was there. The problem over there, from the intelligence point of view, is the assessment, mainly of the senior officers, was it will not happen. It will not happen. And I think it's part of thinking of one is ego, because even the head of the IDF said a few days before the attack that the IDF is deterring Hamas, which is nonsense, as we saw, but with a lot of ego and pride. So this is part of the problem. The second issue is that we thought as Western that if we will bring economical peace, what is being called, the price that they will need to pay will be so big that they will not want to start a war, which means that Israel will bring or brought economical opportunities. 20,000, almost 20,000 employees every day cross the Gaza Strip to Israel to work and to make their livings, to bring culture, education, universities, medical help. Half of the water in the Gaza Strip was still is coming from Israel. Half of the electricity is coming from Israel. So thinking that the prosperity, the culture, will not allow Hamas to start a war. This is some kind of fictional Western thinking that is not fitted to the Middle East. You know, we call the Arab uprising from 2011, we call it the Arab Spring. A spring, it's something romantic, European romantic. This is the Arab winter. This is not an Arab spring. So,
but what was the Netanyahu administration and generally the Israelis' point of view or strategy against or dealing with Gaza? So I imagine that everything that we're speaking about got increased in the last few years because Netanyahu wanted to give more and more.
Yes, the thinking of not only Netanyahu, it's even the thinking of the security services, the Shabak. It was the thinking of the Mossad. It was thinking of Amman, of the intelligence, the military intelligence.
And what happened? What acts?
The way of thinking was that we are bringing them economical benefits, good economical situation, so they will not start a war. As the head of the military intelligence said a month ago, that he doesn't see any way that the war will start in the next 5 years. Why? It comes from thinking about with the ego of the Israeli power and against the asymmetric force of Hamas, and from the perspective of the good economical situation will not bring them to do any foolish things because they will lost everything.
I would love you to elaborate about it because we saw in the last decade, let's say, a lot of those actions, as you're saying, correct me if I'm wrong, a lot of benefits that Israel gave to Gaza. But from the other hand, we saw Hamas repeatedly attacking Israel. And we went into conflict and then went out of those conflicts. So how did Israel see those
This is exactly
actions?
like Biden administration. The same Western thinking. We can suffer from small attacks,
but they won't attack.
But they will not go into a massive
serious
scale. This is part of they want to express their feelings. they want to express their nationalism feelings, and it will be okay. We will do some attacks, and everything will come to its normal. And normality in the Israeli eyes, okay, let's have some kind of operation once a year or every few months, some attacks, and this is good enough. A peaceful situation.
So Israel thought that if with the development of Gaza and the prosperity in there, so the attacks will decrease, let's say, and the peaceful...
And then peace will come, yes.
Yeah, okay.
And thinking in a very romantic way that peace with Bahrain, UAE, Saudi Arabia, Morocco will bring the spring to the Middle East.
Can you share maybe about specific acts that Israel did? In like, imagine money-wise and workers-wise. I know that thousands of workers came from Gaza.
As we said, almost 20,000 people every day crossing the Gaza Strip border to Israel to work. Financial aid, Israel is paying to the Palestinian Authority, which is paying to Hamas for the mechanism, for the administration that will be able to work. Israel bring electricity for free, water for free. Allowing Qatarian money goes into the Gaza Strip with no problem. Even though, for example, 2 or 3 days ago, it was published that David, the head of the Mossad, was alerting the government that some of the Qatarian money goes directly to Ezz ad-Din al-Qassam brigade, which is the military wing of Hamas. But the way of thinking, once again, of the military persons, the senior officers, and the governments, even in the age of Lapid or Bennett and Netanyahu, once again, it's okay to bring Qatarian money. It's okay to bring prosperity because they will not want to go into war if they have this prosperity. So it's okay to give money from Qatar. So this romantic approach was everybody, the guys from the left that was marching in Balfour or in other streets thought the same. Let's do the solution for 2 states because we'll give them economical situation, they give the land, and everything will be okay. And you see, they are still calling us occupation. It doesn't matter that the Palestinian Authority has its own territory. The Hamas had his own territory. It doesn't matter. We're still the occupation because we are not paying attention as our culture. It's not something that we do because we are bad. This is a cultural point of view. They are calling us occupation because they are eating us step by step, as we do the salami method. First, they took Gaza and the Palestinian Authority. They are now speaking about East Jerusalem. They are speaking about Jaffa. They're speaking about Akko and Haifa. So this is step-by-step program. And not an Israelis and not as Western that we think about the next weekend. They think about the next decade and the next generation. And this is the cultural point of view that we are missing very much, also in the intelligence perspective and also the way that we do the political moves and the businesses. Okay, Saturday.
After saying that Israel seen as a weak country, let's say, in the Arab point of view, from the Arab point of view, do you think that now Israel is changing its behavior, or do you think do you think that our response is weak, is strong? What do you think about it?
I think towards Hamas, the response is okay. So I think that the IDF overcome this crisis very fast, something like 24, 48 hours. Mm-hmm. It managed to overcome this surprise and go straight ahead, even though there was 10 days or 2 weeks that he had to get ready for that, which is very bad timing.
Okay.
But eventually, after these 2 weeks or more or less of waiting, I think that the IDF is doing now...
Reacting well? Do you agree? Do you accept this reaction, or do you think we're still not willing to use force or to... Again, I'm not sure what... I'm not sure what is the punishment that they deserve after doing what they did. I'm not sure. What do you think about it?
I think that taking into consideration that there are some kind of population in the Gaza Strip that we call them innocent, The Israeli attacks are very well calculated in order to hurt as less as kids and women as we
It's
can.
possible.
I'm saying that because you see the pictures and the videos from the way that they are being educated in the Gaza Strip, and you understand that even kids that are at the age of 12 and 13 are holding weapons and firing towards our troops. I had an interview with Der Spiegel a few days ago, and the reporter over there asked me, how come, two questions, how come we are not using the knock on the roof procedure, which means that we did during all the years that if we want to attack a terrorist house, the Israeli intelligence called them, telling all the civilians to go out and then attack an empty house. So how come we are not doing that? I told her we are fighting a terror, and how come you need to fight with terrorists that look like civilians? They are civilians. And the second question was why we are not using artificial intelligence capabilities to identify who is innocent and who is not. And I'm asking, okay, how you take a 13 years old kid that is holding a AK-47 and trying to kill soldiers? How do you treat the women that are wearing explosive vests and going to commit suicide? This is an innocent woman or this is a terrorist? So I believe that for your question that the Israeli is doing a good job now, the Israeli military is doing a good job now trying to work to make us less casualties for our soldiers from one side, from the other side, to make us less casualties to the other innocent civilians.
Do you have any idea for a solution with Gaza, with the situation?
I think the only solution now is to continue and to break all the command structure of Hamas, including Sinwar, somewhere in Khan Yunis.
And the head of Hamas.
The head of the Hamas. And to eliminate all the Hamas leaders that are somewhere between Qatar, Turkey, Syria, moving probably every day to another location. Without that, nothing will stop. So even if we will not stop the commanding structure of Hamas that is abroad, they left their people to die over there. It will not stop.
By the way, we're running out of time, but before, tell me if you need to finish, of course. But it is interesting. I do think that your answer, and I would love to hear your opinion about it, that it's part of the Israeli point of view and maybe weakness, because last year and 2 years ago, we saw everyone said in Israel that we shouldn't maybe defeat Hamas because afterwards, maybe the next organization will be more extreme. And the other alternative now that we're speaking about is PLO, that they are paying salaries for people with calculation of the amount of Jews that they killed, and the origins of this organization is Nazi or like organization, and they're not accepting Israel. Now is the good, or Abbas, let's say, that did his master on the against Holocaust. Again, I'm not. Yes. But so now it's the good organization that we can discuss with, and afterward we see jihad, and we see basically again. Tell me, I would love to hear your opinion. But now the aim of destroying Hamas, it is a good aim. What will happen afterwards? The population will stay the same.
I don't know what will happen after that. I think we are at a time of war that try to guess or analyze what will be after, and it's such a big issue. So it's too early to guess. We can go into dreams and fantasies. I don't know, but I don't think that anyone can guess. I think they may have some scenarios. The first scenario that everything will go back to what it was. Israel will stop the war because of international pressure, especially from the U.S. pressure. Hamas will continue to rule the Gaza Strip, and as it was, it will be. This is the first scenario. The second scenario, that something will happen and the Hamas regime will collapse, and the PLO, the Palestinian Authority, which also is a ex-terror organization or still a terror organization acting against Israelis, will dominate the Gaza Strip. Once again, as you said, they are showing their hatred against Israel. They speak about killing Jews. They are in the same. They may be showing to the world they are a little bit more moderate, but they are the same.
Same idea.
The same idea, yes.
And the other options are
Same
more
idea
extreme.
with better political view to the world. Okay,
Yes.
it's with better.
They know how to express themselves more nicely.
Yes, yes. The house looks better, but it's the same.
Yeah, so it is complicated that you're saying.
But the same bad infrastructure. So this can be the second scenario. The third scenario can be that Israel will put some kind of military administration over there until something that will be settled. I don't think this is an Israeli interest. Israel wants to finish it and to go out as fast as it can. So I think it's less optional, but it can be. And the fourth is like we saw in Lebanon, in South Lebanon, which the UN imposed the 1701 regulation that there is an area that is being controlled by the UN, which we see that Hezbollah was there, even though the UN regulation didn't allow it. We saw that when they started to hit the area, they were the first to
leave the area.
To run away. As
so
we
it's
say, when the ship is getting drowned, the mice are running the first. So I think that these are the four scenarios that can be. What can be? It's very easy it's very hard to guess.
I do have a lot of questions, but I'll try to ask just one because we're running out of time. Can you maybe tell me again what you were just discussing? The suggest that the UN will bring forces to preserve peace. We saw this suggestion, let's say in Sinai or in Lebanon or in other places, and all the time it means nothing. Basically, I imagine. Correct me. What do you think about it? But it means nothing. And when something happened, the UN leaves. Obviously, it doesn't. France or other countries doesn't want their soldiers to get killed in the Middle East. So it's just a way of pressuring Israel and to show the world that the UN cares about Israel. And the question that I want to ask you is, after speaking about the situation in the Middle East and the Chinese and Russian side of interests, let's say, and obviously all of those countries are attacking or conflicting with the US and the US interests. And correct me if I'm wrong, but Israel is obviously in the US side, and Israel is dealing with those organizations. So we can see this war between Israel and Europe and the US. And again, I don't want to use the word evil or something, but the other side, Iran, Hezbollah, Hamas, China. So why, the question is, why do you think that the USA and Europe are stopping Israel and they're not letting us to maybe to use more force or to take the time and deal with the situation?
As for the last question, yes. I will divide it into two, because there are two forces. The UN is for many years it's anti-Semitic organization. It's the UN is not calling for any kind of resolution against Russia and Syria about the massacre they did or they are doing in Syria. They are not calling anything against the Turkish that are massacring people in Kurdistan part, and also in the south part, the northern part of Cyprus. They don't do anything against what is happening in Jordan, how they are killing Palestinians, and more. They don't do anything against China. They don't do anything against no one, against the Jewish
just
country.
against Israel.
Yes. So the UN is a just anti-Semitic organization being controlled by Arab countries and Arab money. So and that is Semitic ideas, and like the UN Women Organization that is calling for the sake of women, but didn't want to condemn any type of rape or thing that was on the October 7th.
But a lot of those Arab countries are now in the Israeli side, I imagine. They want to fight Iran as well. They want to back Israel. They want to destroy Hamas.
Yes and no. Like in the Arab way, it's everything is below the radar, below the carpet. Okay, so they
still want to have the appearance of
the appearance is against
fighting
Israel.
the Jews.
The appearance is against Israel. Absolutely in every vote, they are voting against Israel, even though they are trying to do some other. Even Morocco, in the last vote, they voted against Israel. When you see that,
also signing a peace agreement,
and you see what is happening between Israel and Morocco, it's beautiful relationships. And more than that, Israel was voting in favor of Morocco, speaking about the Sahel area that belongs to Morocco. So, but in the voting, Morocco voted against Israel because it cannot show the Arab world that is voting in favor of Israel. So, I think that the UN is an organization that should be dismantled. It's a useless organization that has a very clear agenda.
And what about the USA?
For the US, as for the second part, I think most of the people do not understand the US exactly. And the US, in the Biden administration, let's see what will happen in the next election in less than a year from now. But Biden himself doesn't want to fight at any war. This is his way of thinking. And Biden understands that with a little bit rush moves, he can go into war with China or with Iran. And this is carrying Biden. Biden doesn't want to go into a situation of war, nor with China, nor with Iran. And here the flames are in a situation
getting bigger.
It can be bigger in minutes or in hours.
So do you think that's the reason for Biden to trying to stop Israel? Because now it's not his war. Yes. Israel is doing his job. The Israelis are done for basically.
Yes, but Iran is in the back. Iran is the back. And this is the reason he's not reacting against the attacks in Iraq. Almost.
Or in Lebanon.
Almost or
the
in
Iranians
Lebanon.
are attacking the US.
Iran is Iraqi and Iranian militias are attacking the US bases. They are not doing almost anything.
Yes.
Almost. And he doesn't want to do it. He understands that if he will attack, he will get a big war. He doesn't want to go there, especially not in the next year. So this is what is stopping the US. This is why the US is trying to stop Israel in some manners. Mm-hmm. Yes and no. It depends on in which issue. And yes. This is the motivation of the US not going into war.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we can summarize everything with thanks. It was an amazing and interesting conversation. Hopefully you enjoyed it as well. Thank you very much for your time and for this answers and everything. Thanks Zank Studio as well for hosting us. And I want to thank you all for being here and taking the time to listen to us. And hopefully you love this conversation as well. And we will be here next week. Thank you very much and have a pleasant week in the meantime. Thank you.